Hello everyone, welcome to LexTalk, World's talk show presented by Clickaway Creatives. Today we have Mohammed Imam Hossain with us. Mr. Hossain is the head of Chamber of Investment and Development, Consultancy, Litigation and Arbitration, that's IDCLA, and specializes in international commercial arbitration, international investment and development law, and public international law. He is also the vice president of Dhaka International Arbitration Center, which also makes him a Bangladeshi lawyer. And we are very glad to have him on the show. And we actually have a lot to discuss about him. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the man himself. Hello, Mr. Hossain. Welcome to the show. And how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. And thank you for having me. I'm really glad to be here. And I want to
Pleasure's
be
all
part of
us,
this
sir.
show.
Pleasure's all ours, sir. That's so kind of you to say that. But as I said, pleasure's all
My
ours.
pleasure.
I tried my level best to cover things about you, and it was my luck that I had a chance to go through such a brilliant profile. So if you can cover the voids in order to sort of guide us through a small introduction about yourself, so that we can set a context for the show.
My chamber is based on basically investment. And constitutional law is my another area. I love to work on it.
I actually had my
And the
initial question
taxation,
was.
because I'm going to attend a conference that's going to be held in Sydney. And I'm a speaker. I'm going to talk about the transfer price, about the taxation, international taxation. And then in December, I'm going to talk about the constitutional transformation that's going to happen in Johannesburg in South Africa.
As I said in the initial part, it's my pleasure to have you on the show. And it was your kind word and your efforts that brought you here, and our efforts that brought you here.
Yes,
I actually saw that, consultancy, litigation, arbitration are
right.
majorly a forte when we talk about it. So my first question was actually something else, but I want to sort of divert it to something which is very crucial about the Arbitration Act 2001. How far in Bangladesh arbitration has been institutionalized after enactment of the Arbitration Act 2001, which I was talking about.
First of all, that you see that while I was doing my master's LLM in University of Warwick, then that Arbitration Act 1996 came out. That's it was enacted. So you see, the first I'm going to talk about before I go to talk about the institutionalization of arbitration, not only in Bangladesh, the subcontinent. You see that the people who used to work in arbitration method, so they had in their mind, that's I heard from there, that the academic people, the people who are really involved in academic, they should be practicing in arbitration. Why the lawyers will be involved in practicing arbitration? Because lawyers, they are typical, and the judges, they have the legal boundary. So arbitration, they thought that it should be slightly different from the court orientation, practice, procedure, slightly different procedure. So when gradually I have gone through the Arbitration Act from different countries. When the Arbitration Act 2001 enacted in Bangladesh, I was not here at that time. I was in abroad. I was in London. So I found this act is not comprehensive. This act is not comprehensive, first of all. So UNCITRAL rules, model rules must follow. It's a must follow, because otherwise the arbitration, the worldwide, the way arbitration is working, and that why arbitration come up. Arbitration will come because court of lengthy procedure. It takes time. It's time consuming. It's expensive. So these are the things when they found that alternative dispute regulation, they come up with different ideas that, okay, try to avoid the court, try to avoid the lengthy procedure. Let's come up with a normal procedure. Let's come up alternative something. And then it came up arbitration. But if you say for like Indian subcontinent, that arbitration chalice, that chalice, it was here. It was in the subcontinent, Gramo chalice. But arbitration, they have tried to, instead of proceduralize, instead of less formal, but there are certain formalities, there are certain procedure. That's not that like the idea is that arbitration should be, the people should be well educated in arbitration. They should take career as arbitrator. I had the opportunity to attend a conference in UNCITRAL conference that was to celebration of the 50th anniversary of UNCITRAL organized by United Nations. It was held in Vienna. So that was modernization of. modernization of international trade. It took time. It took time, long time, 50 years. There was an argument why they have taken 50 years to come up a comprehensive idea, but still it's ongoing process. So I had the opportunity even to work in Macau. That was also regarding the arbitration. And I had the opportunity to present a paper on the OBOR initiative. So I'm working, I'm learning. I'm a student of arbitration. So it's a learning process. You have to, go through this. So Arbitration Act, your question was that, what about the Arbitration Act 2001 in Bangladesh? The act is not comprehensive. There are certain loopholes. There are about the appointment of the arbitrators. There is about the main problem is the enforcement of award when we get the enforcement award from the arbitration. So that Bangladesh is a signatory of the New York Convention. Okay, but despite that, it's not working properly. So there is maybe we will have to come up with more ideas, more progressive ideas. The judges must have, the ideas about the arbitration, what's going on all over the world, and then academics, the lawyers, all together we can work. I think that the act needs to be updated. The acts need to be more modified, and they have to, match up with the UNCITRAL laws, and the rules has to be formulated.
That's a very great insight, Mr. Hossain. Thank you, Anish, for that. Now, I guess it's time for our favorite section where we actually want always to understand about the cases of the respective lawyer. So, if you can tell us about a complex or an interesting legal issue that you worked upon recently or in your career so far, and describe the complexity around it and how you really approached it.
All right. And the lawyers has every day we face complexity. Every case is complex, and I don't find any case easier for me. So I found, but it's very challenging. I can share with you very recent two cases I've done. Now, one is the case is done, completed. I've got the judgment in favor of me. One is that I was not successful when I was moving my petition, because so my issue was that there is a double taxation, but the court was not believing in that. Court was thinking, no, you're not convinced. There is no double taxation issue. So this one of the challenge I just recently faced. Another case was that is about the guarantee, the personal guarantee. When the bank gives a loan, the company got the loan, and the company director, he gave the personal guarantee. He had to give the personal guarantee. But when he resigned from this post, he was saying that, no, since I've resigned and my guarantee is substituted by another director, so I should be free from any liability. But the bank is saying that there is a bar. The law says that 27 core of the Bank Companies Act. No, you cannot, because since you have given the personal guarantee, you have to bear the liability. But there is the agency principle that who will be primary liable, who will be secondary liable. In these circumstances, the law is that since he has been substituted by another director, so he is not liable here. But the primary liable is the agency, who is the principal. The principal is the company, and director is the agent. So primarily, its company is liable. Another issue was that whether this is prospectively liable or the retrospectively liable. We said that, yes, that's not a retrospectively liable, that is the prospectively liable. So that was the issue, complicated. The court was very reluctant. Finally, we became successful, so we have owned the case. I'm very happy for that.
Me too. Trust me, that's really wonderful to hear about. You were also talking about. I mean, your second case was somewhere related to the financial institutions.
Oh yes,
I had
yeah,
I had a question around that as well.
right.
Because I believe lawyers in any field know the actual roots of the industry. So, from that standpoint, how can financial institutions become more successful to build up urbanization by securing a loan against the mortgage securities?
All right, that that urbanization is a buzzword in the global context. So if you look up the South African context, other countries' context, you can see that how the globalization is going and the urbanization is simultaneously going. They believe that financial institutions should be safe, because if the financial collapse, that economy can collapse. Financial institute providing loan against the mortgage property. But when the loanee becomes, defaulter, then the question come up that what would be the consequence? Because I'm a legal advisor of Bangladesh House Building Finance Corporation. I was the legal advisor of Bangladesh Sonali Bank. That's talking about the Bangladesh House Building Finance Corporation. That's basically works for the urbanization, because they are giving the loan all over the Bangladesh. They are giving the loans in the villages, that's remote area. So that's the problem. The remote area, the land is not valuable, maybe comparatively. So whether they will get back their the loan money, but problem is that is the issue is the urbanization, or is the issue of that I'm giving the loan is a business. That's the issue here. When you have the concept of the urbanization, you have the in your mindset that you have that you are participating in the development process. Body government is not that much uh, helping the financial institute, in a sense that when they work for the urbanization, it's a part of the government as well. Why the government is not coming forward to help the financial institute, especially like Bangladesh House Building Finance Corporation, like that organization which is working for the urbanization. So financial institute, as a financial institute, they are successful. They have used, because it started from during Pakistan. It was started from 1952. It was established. Still now they are working in the field, and they are day by day they are increasing their selling. So I think that as a financial institute, they are okay, but the law is different, because it was the previously, now is that uh, Otorina, the law, that is the loan relating laws that 2003 came up. Before that, the law was not comprehensive. This law is so far comprehensive. This law has provided certain alternative dispute resolution. It's like the pre-action protocol. So I think that they are becoming successful. But Bangladesh Bank has, very, I think that utmost duty to look up this area, to look up this when they work for the urbanization, or they work for only the credit facilities, because there has to be a distinction between the financial institute with the motto, with their mission and vision, who works for what. That's the way I think that you can measure up the successful, whether they are successful or not.
I mean, that's right. We have seen if things like this doesn't work out, we see collapse like 2008, which ultimately like
Yes,
the
yeah,
something that happened in States, and I guess this is now happening in China. Everyone is
yeah.
hearing about it, but I guess the angle towards it's different. That's really wonderful. This was a great insight again, Mr. Sam. I also wanted to have your take on if we go 2 years back, if we talk about pandemic, we all survived it actually, but ironically, it worked as a catalyst for a lot of disruptions, even positive disruptions, rather, I should say. Um, in pandemic, we all saw courts begin moving towards more remote proceedings and availability. What do you think? I mean, in your side of the world, is this sustainable and a possible way to increase the access to justice, or rather, I should say, to reduce or to help closing the justice gap?
Well, I would say that there should be three parts of that. One is that pre-pandemic situation, one is that during pandemic situation, and one is that post-pandemic situation. And you know that sometimes it happens that supervening impossibility, you cannot foresee everything. So pre-pandemic situation was that normal situation. We all of us, the world was working like that. Suddenly it came up. It's like the bolt from the blue. We did not, I think, that measure up the consequence was going to happen after that. That the post pandemic situation. The pandemic situation taught us. Pandemic situation taught us you have to survive under all circumstances. It's a pandemic or non-pandemic. The court, especially that court was shut down in all over the world. The because the client was not in a situation to pay the lawyers' fees. So these are the situation we are also facing, the client lawyers. And the court, I think that e-judiciary came up. E-judiciary came up, and we had to virtual court. So that was a different, I think, period of time we have gone through. That there was just so much to learn from that time that I had, because we had to cut off the staff, we had to cut off the, so other things. But we had to do certain things. We had to learn. We had to learn, and we learned. There are certain, some lawyers, maybe the senior lawyers, maybe they are not very much used to about this sort of technology. But I was also not that much competent. But I had to learn. I had to learn. I had to accommodate myself. So that was the situation. But now I think that if you ask me the question, is it sustainable? My answer is that before answering this question, I can ask you that, should we continue it? What do you think about it? Should we continue it? If you think that yes, we should, I also think that we should continue it, because when you have developed certain things, you cannot leave it, you cannot give up. You have to continue it. You have to go on, because that's the way we work. The world has taught us that the pandemic, maybe it was a curse, but I think that maybe it has given something good for us, something learned for us, that there are certain situations in the world you have to face it, and you have to patch up, and you have to make up yourself, prepare yourself for that situation. You cannot foresee all the things. So I think I have changed my court, the chambers. That time I had to work from here instead of going to court, and I think that time it was the court and chamber was very connected. But some people, there were argument that no, we have to work in person. Physical court is more good. Physical court is more interactive. I believe so. Yep, physical court is more interactive. No, I don't have the opportunity, but in physical court, I can make my submission. I can change it. I can make it. I can pursue it. And that the volume of records, volume of papers is very difficult. That's the difficulties. I think the post-pandemic, I'm okay. I think that the world is getting, I'm also, and we have to with the technology.
I mean, that's again very well put. My question was also in terms of
Yes,
closing the justice gap. So, do you think is that a tangible movement to in terms of closing justice gap, or is there any other tangible movement in terms of closing justice gap? Because we all know that uh, there are gaps when it comes to judiciary.
even the access to justice.
Yeah, I mean the access to justice, whether it's from an infrastructural standpoint, whether it's from any standpoint, but there are. So, what do you think? First of all, my question is, I want to have your take. My take doesn't really matter here. What do you think? Is there a gap? And if there is, what's the way out?
I don't know. If there is a gap, then answer is that mind the gap or fill the gap. Uh, I think that I believe in judicial activism. I believe in judicial activism because I'm a student of law in development. I told you that. Have you heard the name of Professor Upendra Bakshi? As from India, is a very great scholar.
I
Okay,
have, yeah.
yeah, he introduced one thing, that social action litigation instead of public interest litigation. So that, access of justice, that judicial activism, it should be, the mindset. Okay, the door should be open. Then I'm knocking the door, because when I go to the court, with my petition, I am asking for justice. Okay, may in any circumstance, I'm asking for whatever the case is, I'm asking for justice. So the access of justice. Another thing is that there is the organ has been, the separation of powers. The power has been differentiated into three parts: executive, legislature, and the judiciary. That the question is that who is appointing you? If your appointment is done by the executive, so you must listen to the executive, isn't that? How do you expect that you'll be free from, any interference? I mean, the political interference that's happening through the examinations. I'm just talking about the High Court's appointment of judges, because mostly they are appointed by the executive. So there is a political consideration in the appointment process. So the appointment process should be different, should be maybe totally judicial. Then I think that we can, mindset should be free, access of justice.
That's another angle to
In a
actually look at.
nutshell, in a nutshell.
That's very right, sir. Um, See, as we are also talking about when you're talking about pandemic, a lot of things, as I said, came along with it. Disaster and some new disruptions, some positive disruptions again.
Yeah.
So
That's I
when
understand.
we our whole subcontinent is now standing in the middle of legal technology, the era of legal tech,
Yeah.
and this era. what are the most commonly used tools for you? What do you use? If you
The
can suggest this.
first thing, the technology result is that you and me talking from different parts. Okay.
That's right.
Say for that in 95, when I was doing my master's, it was very difficult for me to go through the online library to search it. Okay. And I found, oh, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Then I realized that now the fellow students, all of us, fellow, it wasn't because that time it was not that much developed. And they didn't even teach us properly that how to do or what to do. Maybe we're not mentally prepared to accept it. I think the research for research, I follow that Westlaw, Lexis, and then law technology, lexology. That's very, I love it. And for the word processor, that cloud-based word processor, I think that is very helpful for us, that Microsoft 365. Then scanner, I think that mobile scanner app, that's also helpful for really, really helping me. And then Google Drive also is very helping. And basically, it's case management software is very, really, really helpful. And Google Calendar is that trying to do certain works through email, the payment, electronic payment. That's really, really helpful because yeah, progressing, I'm learning.
Yes, legal is a practice. So, and that's so wise of you putting it that way. You completed your master's when I guess I was just nearly born. So this makes me feel very again lucky and wise of myself to have a chance to sort of discuss these
You are
things
lucky
with.
because you are, progressing with technology.
That's another way to look at it, Mr. Hussain. Um, Now, because you come with a lot of experience, I also want a lot of young lawyers actually witness the session. So, and for myself, this is going to be a very generic question about time management. I sometimes
Right,
call it money management because time is money,
right.
and in legal, it's most of all.
All
So my
saying that.
act, yeah, and then my exact question is, how do you ensure to make best of your time as a lawyer, and how do you get time for your personal space? For your family.
Well, it goes without saying that good efforts never go wasted. Okay. So if we give any good effort, I think that there will be result. But everything has to be proportionate. Okay. Because you said that because the time is money. Time is money not only for me. Time is money for you. Time is money for all of us. That's the way the world works. I think that client dealing is the main one of the criteria I can tell. We cannot treat all clients equally. I think depends. My clients, I think that if there is a multinational corporation, I think that I have to take it in a different way. If there is a one individual person, I have to take it different way. But I think that your billing system, your timing, everything has to be, included when you deal with a client. It's that time setting. Time setting is also one of the criteria that you have to keep in your mind when you're talking with your client, because when you are dealing with your client, the client's conference is very important. That's certain techniques you have to, but other way that you cannot give him, such a feeling that you are ignoring. You cannot. These are
What's the technique that you're talking about?
the way I'm talking to you.
Oh, okay. Got it, got it. So then, that's really beautiful way to put it. Recently I heard a lot about the same concept that you are.
I think that
Uh,
work is smarter. You shouldn't take long time. Okay,
Mhm.
you have to.
Different techniques, as you call it, to work with different sort of people. That's really well put again, Mr. Hussain. This has been a lovely session so far. Before I uh, sort of, because I understand you're a busy bee and we are very tight on schedule, and lawyers are always tight on schedule. But before you ask me that you want to leave the session, I want you to give some advice to the young professionals who are sort of entering the legal fraternity, how they can make good in this field.
I think that this really is really good. First thing that do you have the passion for this profession? You must be in love with this profession. You must be, because this is the profession you start from the morning and you end the night. I think that my advice or suggestion should be that, first of all, that I think the passion should be here, and then you have to spend time, because first at the beginning you don't have the opportunity to earn money. There are certain stages you have to go, and then I think that money will run after you. But beginning you have to, have patience. Beginning you have to patience. And then this is a profession that continuing legal education. You cannot just, pass your LLB or may LLM and you have done a lot. No, you have to study every day, because there is every day they're changing. And then now in a days, the good thing is the globe is in your hand through technology. So this is the very easier way that even the 20 years back, they didn't have the opportunity. I think the new generation has got very ample opportunity to work on it. So they do research. You have to do research, and you have to, because you have to, the way you will study, the way you do research, you will develop your skill. That's the way it works.
That's wise words coming from a very wise gentleman here.
And
There's nothing that I have to add on here. Rather, I just have one note to end the session with that.
yes,
As you said that what you were saying in the last of the young professional, it's a very beautiful line in a Bollywood movie called Three Idiots, which says that run behind excellence, and success will follow you.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I guess that is the wise note to
That's a
end the
beautiful
session
movie.
with.
I watched it.
Oh, you watched it? Then I guess
Yeah, I'm
we are
I'm
again on
one
the
of the
same page.
idiots.
Me too. Great, Mr. Hossain. This was a great session so far, and
Right.
thank you very much for sharing such great insights with us. We just not just talked about you, but we talked about your practice and about the legal fraternity from your lenses, and this was really great. And we look forward to having some chat with you again on some other training topics
Yes,
in the
always welcome. I love to do
future.
it. I love to do it. And thank you
Same
very
as all
much.
us,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you
It was
very
a
much, sir.
wonderful
And
session.
it was a lovely session, and I hope our viewers really enjoyed it. And if you did, I want you to like this video, to share this video, and click on that red button that you see to subscribe to Click Up the Traders YouTube
Red
channel.
bar.
Yeah, and to appreciate what we do in bringing such great personalities like Mr. Imam Hossain, Mohammed Imam Hossain on this session. So thank
Thank
you
you.
very
Thank
much,
you.
and signing off for the day.